And welcome, Laura, to today's episode of Guess Your Productivity Bottleneck in 3 questions or less. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I am doing great and I'm super excited that you're here. This is Laura Palker, who is the CEO of Trade Show Solutions. And you're awesome. And I'm so glad that you agreed to play along.
Yes, I figured anything that you were doing, I wanted to be a part of. I always learn something really great from you.
Well, and fingers crossed, you will be able to say the same thing in just a couple minutes. So
Okay.
here's our first question. What is it that keeps you from doing everything that you want to do each day? What's holding you back from getting everything you want accomplished?
I tend to put too many things in my calendar. I approached it this way. I looked at my calendar week after week after week. I'm saying, when is somebody going to make a calendar that's going to hold all of my things? And then all of a sudden, one day it dawned on me that, oh, there's 24 hours in a day and the calendar's not going to change.
Yes, you don't get that magic, 28-hour calendars. So you're putting too many things in your calendar. Um, so my next question for you is, what is your best and highest use for your company? What is it that only you can do for your company?
Right now, I think that the best use of my skills and my talent is working with the client in understanding their needs and providing solutions.
Okay. And a follow-up question to this question is, when you look at all those things that you have, so your to-do list that is longer than the 24 hours that we have in the day, how much of the stuff on that list are things that fall into that category of working with and doing the things that you can do with clients?
Well, let's see. I would say that 60%.
60%. Okay. And as a follow-up to that, this is my way around keeping it to 3 questions. I'll just ask 80 follow-up questions. How much of the things that you're doing that you put on the calendar that aren't, or put on your to-do list that aren't getting done, like what percent of the items that you're doing do you think that you don't get done and that you have to move to the next day?
So I will get things on the calendar, accomplish everything on the calendar, but then it's the work.
Mm-hmm. I love that ringtone. It's okay. You can let it ring. That was used to be my old ringtone.
So, so then uh, it's the completion of the work that's generated by what's on that call.
Uh-huh. All right. So the extra piece, just to make sure I fully understand. So your calendar is full with appointments and things you have to do, and anything that's new that's generated is the stuff that is having a hard time finding a place.
Right. So now I had a phone call. We're going to engage. Well, now you need to go to the spreadsheet and you've got to start a job. So, then what happens is the folder gets stacked, and now there's 8 jobs that should have been opened. And if they were opened immediately, other people could start their work. When there's emails that are coming in, the emails are being answered, but there's attachments. And if I was working at full efficiency, those attachments would be downloaded and filed in the job folder, so that the next time I had to answer a question, I could go to the job folder and everything would be so nicely stacked in its proper place so that I could work more efficiently instead of still being attached to that email in the inbox.
Okay. All right. So based on what you're telling me, what I'm hearing is your productivity bottleneck is the fact that you don't have a buffer after phone calls or after when you're having engagements to finish up the piece that needs to be finished up with that call. So like, I know that we had talked earlier, you're back to back to back with phone calls and things like that. And so you don't have that processing time built into the calendar. So if it's an hour appointment, there isn't that extra 15 minutes to open up the next job or to file the attachment or to do those pieces. Does that sound accurate?
At one point it was, and I did put in a buffer, and I blocked out breakfast, lunch, and dinner so that I would allocate time for eating, which sometimes I missed before. I put in a section at the end of the day for POs or anything like that had to be done, training. And I even blocked out Mondays in the calendar for being able to focus on cleanup and organization. And I'm still experiencing it just a little bit.
And are you following that? Or Mondays staying blocked out? And are those times for breakfast, lunch, and dinner staying blocked out? And are the times after appointments staying blocked out?
Well, I have a few people that have called me up and they said, I went to your Calendly and I can't see you till January. I said, well, I can slip you in on a Monday.
There it is. I think, Laura, we found it. So you have the right system. You're not following it.
Right.
And so there it is. You had me there for a second. I thought maybe I missed your bottleneck, but it is there. There it is. And so if we were to take that into a bigger picture of like through a process, if we're looking at it through the lens of our 3-step process, the first one is dream. And that encompasses where are you now? Where do you want to be? But specifically in reference to this call is the part of what is the actual challenge. And then that second part of that process is decide, which in this case, it's okay, decide, is the calendar the way I want it to be? And if so, will I then commit to following it? Or decide, is it that I want to have wiggle room to add people in which case, what does that mean? And maybe in your case, it means that 40% of stuff that you're doing that's outside of your zone of genius, maybe that needs to be delegated out so that you have less on your plate. But that's the piece, it's the decide piece. And then that last one is design. How do you create it so that it becomes easy and it falls in your strengths? And so in your case, if we're looking specifically at the buffer time piece, what could you do to design the calendar so you couldn't override it? If that were in fact what you said. And I am right there with you, Laura, because I will do the same. I block out Mondays to work on my business and do all these and follow up and make sure everything. And I can slide you in on Monday. And so now, like, I have a big Post-it note that says, you are not allowed to touch your calendar. Like, do not do it. All right. So how do you feel? Did we hit your bottleneck?
Yes.
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 Awesome and fantastic. So I appreciate you playing along today. And if anyone else who's watching this wants to play, I invite you to jump on, see if you can stump me in 3 questions or less. Just go to impactivestrategies.as.me.
Thank you, Lisa.
You are welcome. Thank you.